All right, and we're live. I'm on the road, don't know where it goes. I'm on the road, follow your heart, it won't let you down. Follow your heart, take the steps beyond your way. Take the steps when you have a dream. You gotta start, it's the only way. If you're gonna shine, and you're gonna shine, 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 you're gonna shine. And we couldn't have a better day to be on the ranch. Welcome, everyone. We're on the ranch. We are going across 7 platforms tonight. And if you're watching it on your catching up, you could be watching it on Roku. Hotel Universe is now having us. So, yeah, all official and everything. So excited for that. So excited for that. So, welcome to the ranch where I span the globe to find the best in indie, Americana, and country music. And it just is an interesting time to be in country music, Americana music. And it seems like that's where everybody wants to be, right? Even Beyonce. So it's kind of really interesting. Today, we are actually not going far from home. We are going to be actually looking in Nashville, someone from the Northeast and kind of migrated down to Nashville. We're going to be talking to, let's bring Mark Anthony onto the stage.
Hey,
Mark,
Randie.
welcome to the ranch.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on this show. Thank you. It's great to be here.
I know you have such a busy schedule, so I appreciate you taking the time.
Yep. Yeah, we've been busy this month. Gosh, just did 2 shows, on Saturday, and they were outdoor shows. So when it gets warm out here in the summer, outdoor shows can really take it out of you, right?
Yeah, yeah. They had a lot of advantages. They're a lot of fun. They usually draw a really big crowd, but
yep. Yeah, they're our sweet spot. I love to do outdoor fairs, festivals, community events, that kind of thing, because people come out for those and there's so many distractions, right? You got the food vendors and the tents and all that stuff, but they have chairs in front of the stage and people love that flavor of an outdoor concert. And that's what we do. When we're up there, we just rock, the whole time. We have a great time.
Yeah. We're going to be getting to some of your live music really soon. Really soon. So let's have a little bit, let's get people to know you a little bit, because you're not originally from Nashville.
Correct. Yeah, I am originally from Connecticut. I was born, raised there, went to University of Connecticut. I moved here in '87, and the story about what got me here was that I was starting to write original music, as a singer-songwriter up there. And the Northeast is not the place for original music, original songs, original lyrics. It's mostly cover music up there. And I had a very good country rock band, I'll say, that kind of melded all of my influences from the past: folk, rock, acoustic, all that in one. And we had a great country band. And so we were entered in the Dodge True Value Country Showdown, if you remember those days, right? Where the top prize was a recording contract in Nashville. And I had already set my sights for Nashville. So we got as far as the regional finals. And my band was the only band to ever win first place in the Connecticut State Finals for that particular contest. So we went on to the regionals, and we lost in the regionals in upstate New York. Now, had I won with my band up there, that band was called Caribou, I would have been in Nashville a little sooner. But anyway, that didn't happen. And God, in his infinite wisdom, I came here in '87. So I've been here a lot longer than I was in Connecticut. I've been here 36 years. And when I got here, I set my sights to be a country music artist. I came here for country music. Now, when I say that, country music has changed just tremendously over the decades. So
Right.
I have, I found out right away that with my style of songwriting when I came here, it wasn't exactly going to fit the country mold. Exactly. It was a little bit different from that. So I had a guy that started following me around, took a great interest in my music and my songwriting, and that was a writer relations guy for BMI. Well, he later became the president of BMI, and he's well known in these parts. But at that time, he started following me around, and he said, your music is really different. It's not this, it's not that, it's not exactly country, but I like it. So I ended up getting on local television here pretty soon, and then that led to national television, and I ended up in on Discovery Television, a national competition. They only picked 100 contestants throughout the country, and I was lucky enough, fortunate enough, to be one of those contestants, and it was a video competition. Okay. So now I was on national television. I was going to take that opportunity to make my mark and make a statement and say, hey, Nashville, I'm here, and I'm here as a singer-songwriter writing original music. So the funny story is that out of 100 contestants selected, I was the only guy that performed an original song. Everybody else did a cover tune. So, it was my chance to announce to the Nashville music industry, well, I'm here now, and this is what I do. So I performed a song that I wrote called Running Away. That's now a single. It's recorded. It's out on all the music platforms. And so I lost in that competition. I came in first runner-up out of 100 contestants representing Nashville, right? And the person who won did a cover song. I think it was a Barry Manilow song or something like that. But I was not going to miss the opportunity to be on national television and perform, original music.
Right.
So, and when I got back home, that was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, everything started to go good, and I was getting a lot of notoriety. And then my wife at that time became pregnant with my oldest son, and that's when autopilot kicked in. And I did what my dad did. And I decided that, I don't need to be in the bars and clubs right now at this point in my life. I need to be home, be a husband, be a father. And I did a very good job of that for the next 20 some odd years. So I literally disappeared. I just went away and did what I felt called to do. And that was to answer a higher call and raise my family. Right. So people were wondering, what happened to this guy? He's here, no, and now this guy Mark is gone. So after all those years went by, and I was nearing retirement, I had 2 careers here in Nashville, one in civil engineering, and then I ended my second career as an interior designer, and I did that for 12 years, my last stint in my career. And when it was all over, Randie, I had been writing all that time. And so I amassed all this material over 30 years. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with it? I felt like my time has not passed. I've never given up on my dreams. So I'm just going to say, you know what? I'm going to trust God. Come what may, I'm going to take these songs and I'm going to form my own band, call it the Mark Anthony Ensemble, and just have fun showcasing my songs. So my band is not exactly a country band, definitely not a country band. It's not a heavy rock and roll band. I just tell people, it's Americana by genre. So when I tell people, and they ask me all the time, well, what's your music like? And I just tell them, well, think Eagles and you'll be close. It's not exactly country. It's acoustic music with a rock edge, but my band is more of a rock band than it is more of a folky John Denver band. Right. Mm-hmm. But we mix it up. In the course of an evening, you'll hear many different flavors, rhythms, textures. You've heard some of my music, so they're not cookie cutter songs. One song might be where the band picks up all electric instruments and we just rock and roll for a couple of songs. Then we'll put those down, sit on some stools and do some real pretty acoustic ballad kind of stuff. And then there's other songs where it's acoustic and electric. So in the course of an evening, people will get, like, for the full show, they'll get a wide variety of music. And that's how people have gotten to know me, is that variety.
All right. So, why don't we do this? Well, why don't we listen to one of your live videos that you sent me, and then we'll talk about that.
Okay, great. Great.
All right, here we go. Mark Anthony.
Mark Anthony came to Nashville nearly 4 decades ago as a songwriter and performer. Took a little break from the biz, but boy, he is back. New band, new music, and here he is performing one of his latest, Take Me Down Slow.
I don't wanna go, I don't wanna stay, but I can see you're all alone and look in my head. I know what you're thinking, girl, and I don't wanna know. So if you're looking around for a man, you better take me down slow. You're the kind of woman that a man doesn't need. You're living in the fast lane, girl, so long, so weak. I know what you're thinking, girl, and I don't wanna know. So if you're looking around for a man, you better take me down slow. Everyone knows you got your eyes on me. It'll take some time for me to find someone who's right for me. You know how to tell me, girl, what I don't wanna know. So if you're looking around for a man, you better take me down slow. Get down. I don't wanna go, I don't wanna stay, but I can see you're all alone and looking my way. You know how to tell me, girl, what I don't wanna know. So if you're looking around for a man, you better take me down slow. If you're looking around for a man, you better take me down slow.
Mark Anthony, more from him in just a little bit. Coming up.
All right, and we are back on the ranch. Ranch is produced by the music platform Blast Music 24/7, a really great indie artist platform where you could actually create your own account. It's a safe place for your music, and there's a lot of podcasts and things associated with as well. So Blast Music 24/7. And again, we are across 7 different platforms, and all of them are interactive. So if you have comments, I know we got a few people watching. We'd love to know where you're watching from. And if you have any comments for our guest, Mark Anthony, we'd love to hear from you because we could see what you're doing.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
So Mark, I have to question you on something. You moved to Nashville back in the day because that was the place for original music.
Yes.
And I will argue that it's harder now for original artists in Nashville than ever before.
Yeah. Well, it always has been, unless you're a square peg that fits in a square hole, right? But, I was always kind of on the outside looking in. I still am. relatively unknown as an independent artist. I've worked really hard with this band for the past 5 years to get some name recognition. And now all of a sudden it's happening here in Tennessee. So it's good. We're traveling around the state. We're doing a lot of different shows. But, at that time, I'll just say this. I can't speak for how it was to get signed back then as far as any kind of an artist, independent or country. But I will say at that point when I came here, country was a lot different. I started listening to country, Randie, when it was probably, the late 80s, early 90s. And that was an era that I have to say is really a bygone era. That was a decade when you had structured melodies, great harmonies, great vocal bands like Restless Heart, Diamond Rio, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. And they just don't have bands like that anymore. And that's what appealed to me at that time. That's why I set my sights on country music, because it was a nice mixture of folk and rock and acoustic. And it's just not that way anymore. It's a formula. I'll just say it's a formula. That's how I describe it now. As far as a songwriter and the music that's out, the subject matter, it's very homogenous. It's one-dimensional in almost every way, especially lyrically. And at that time when I moved here, it wasn't like that. So that's why I had set my sights to be a country artist. Now I'm considered Americana.
Well, yeah, we're considered Americana, but I argue almost the opposite. There's so many different types of music calling themselves country. So you're seeing it as very homogenous, but I'm like, there's country rap, there's country dance, there's country pop, there's, and to me, it's wide open. A lot of people want to be called country.
Yeah, you're right. It has really diversified. You're right. It's got so many different arms and legs now, country music. And it's a lot different, right, than that 3-chord cry in your beer stuff that people remember back in the 70s and the 60s, right? But the era that I really identified with was the era that I talk about that is kind of gone now. That's where everything was, I would say the structure of the music was a lot more melodic, if you want to put it that way. That's why I made that reference. Structured melodies, great harmonies, that kind of thing. It's really not produced that way, I would say, presently. Now, what I know from living here for so long, there is a push very much in the industry to go back to that era. They want to get back to that sound that, when I started listening, country was just starting to change from that real old style, crying your beer stuff to, Vince Gill was coming up, Alabama, Ricky Skaggs, Vince Gill, naturally Steve Wariner. So they were starting to change it to a little bit more of a rockabilly format back in the late 80s, 90s. And that's what appealed to me, was that it started to get a little bit more rock and roll, right? But it still had great music, great lyrics, great songs, and the artists were truly talented. Nowadays it seems like everybody seems to want to sound the same, look the same. There's a lot of that going on now. That's why I'm not in that field, and that's why I love being on shows like this, because Randie O'Neal and the Ranch, you give equal time and great notoriety to independent artists like me. And there's very little avenue for that, especially in country music. Like, I'm on 80 platforms around the world. So I'm listened to in almost every country, but you won't hear me on country radio. To get a song on country radio nowadays, it would take several $100,000 after you pay all the pieces of the puzzle to get one song on the radio. So you can see why they make it almost nearly impossible for independent artists.
Well, it isn't like, it's easy to get your music up there, right? 75,000 songs a day are uploaded to Spotify. 75,000 or more, between 100,000 and 75,000, right? But to your point, a lot of indie artists don't know how to brand. They don't know how to stand out. They're releasing things that don't have harmonies, that aren't mixed well. And the structures of songs. It used to be a folk song was structured this way, a country song was structured this way, and
right.
now it's, everyone's looking for the big pre-choruses and, into the choruses and things like that. But, it's an interesting time for indie artists because there's a lot more potential for us, but there's a lot of us.
Yeah. Well, that's right. My record label, I'm one of the only true Americana artists they have on the label. That's why I'm really honored to be on Iron Gate Records, because they have a lot of heavy rock bands. They do have some country for sure. There is one other Americana act, but it's a husband and wife team, and I have a full band. So when you come to see my show, it's like hearing a singer-songwriter, if you will, with a full band accompaniment. And we do a complete show. Like I said, it's none of the songs are the same. Like that song there, Take Me Down Slow, I had that recorded, released that a couple years ago. That was live on our NBC affiliate, Channel 4, WSMV, where I got to appear on a show called Today in Nashville. Honored to be on that show. We actually opened that show and we ended the show with another one of my songs called For You. So it was a real honor to be on that. And I got a lot of mileage on it because it's local television. And of course, music industry is paying attention and they're looking at that. I have not been on that show since, but right after that, I was on our Fox 17 channel. There's a guy named Eric Dahl that gave me about a full hour interview of my life, my history, my music. And Eric has had, just to name a few people, he's had on his show, it's called Rock and Review. He's had Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, Peter Frampton, and all of a sudden Mark Anthony was in that company. I was like, wow, I was honored to be on that show. So we had a lot of fun. We had jokes, back and forth, because Eric's a musician too. So I did that interview and got a little bit more mileage, for the notoriety and the publicity on the tail of that Channel 4 show.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Well, let's talk about songwriting, because it's what we love to do, right? And the next song, the next song up is For You. So how did that come about?
Yeah, For You kind of lends itself. It's two lovers. It's a love story in a sense, but I wanted to write something that suggested and brought us back to the days of traditional courtship, right? Where the first verse, he's leaving her off at her place, right? He's being the gentleman. He's going on a date. He's bringing her home. He's leaving her off at her place. Those kind of things that, I don't know. It doesn't seem like we follow that course of action anymore. It seems we do a lot of shortcuts, right? When it comes to dating and relationships. So that whole thing was like, it's a love song, but the chorus resounds, I did this for you, for you. And it came out great in the studio. I had some great players on it, studio musicians. And, I first conceived that song was all written completely on acoustic guitar. And the way I tackle my songwriting is I hear all the parts when I write songs. I hear with the drums. So my band can only come so close to duplicating live, what I hear up here. But in the studio, these guys that I got did a great job, and they did it to a T, just like what I had envisioned. I don't know if you're playing the Channel 4 For You or the recorded version. Not sure.
You sent me the live.
Oh, okay, the live. Okay. A little different. We do it a little different when you play any song live, because you got to inject a little bit different. A little bit more energy, that kind of thing into it. But I really love the recorded version as well. Yeah, we ended that show, that Channel 4 show, with this song you're about to play.
All right, let's take a listen.
Back on our Gibson Give stage, we got Mark Anthony. He's got new music here. Here he is, Mark Anthony and the crew singing For You.
We got a full moon tonight shining upon your face. in the cool of the night, walking you back to your place. I get too close in a final embrace for you. I crazy when at your smile, loving it more each day. That awesome look in your eyes, blue as the skies today. I promise I will love you forever, and will provide a love that is true for you. All of my heart and soul too, all of my love for you. All of my heart and soul too. Now and forever, all of my love for you. The rains would come and the winds they may blow, but I will keep you safe from the storm for you. All of my heart and soul too, all of my love for you. All of my heart and soul too. Now and forever, all of my love for you. All of my heart and soul too. Everything for you. All of my heart and soul too. Now and forever, all of my love for you.
All right, and we are back on the ranch with Mark Anthony. We are across 7 platforms, and I know there's people popping in and out tonight. It's such a beautiful night out. I can't blame people. It's so nice. I'm in Pennsylvania, and we hit like 85 today.
Yeah, it was beautiful here too.
So, just so gorgeous. Sat outside for lunch. It was beautiful. Beautiful. So, and I'm trying not to turn my air conditioning on yet,
Yeah.
like now I'm in the middle of the show. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, turn your air conditioning on.
Well, we're in the South here, so we turned it on a while ago. You have to here, right?
I know. I don't know. But really, those are great live studio productions like that.
Yeah, that came out really well, especially for live, because you don't have that much time it's more or less plug and play, right? And you can't expect the studio to know everything about your band and your, the nuances of your band. But I thought they did a great job, and it's pretty good for live. Without track.
It sounded definitely better than a board mix,
Yeah. Yeah.
So Billy did a nice job with that, representing the band. Because sometimes I get sent some things and you hear stuff in the background and, live, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, they do a great job on that Channel 4 show because it's set up specifically for singer-songwriters. That sound stage, you noticed it. It had a lot of Gibson stuff on it because it's sponsored by Gibson Guitars, and they decorate that stage. It's beautiful. As a matter of fact, we did a photo shoot on there. It was so nice. And all that stage equipment is provided by Gibson, and they have it set up real nice with TV cameras all around and stuff. So it's really nice to be on that show because you just have to come in and just do a little bit of a sound check, but they take care of the rest. And because it's live TV, they do a great job.
And you know what? A show like that, it goes a long way for us indie artists, right? You got your photo shoot. You got a great live marketing tool now. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, that draws people, just like you mentioned, Spotify alone, out of the pie of independent artists and streaming platforms, Spotify is the biggest piece of the pie, right? Everything else is little slivers. I think Amazon Music and maybe iTunes is next, but they're really small compared to Spotify. So when people see you like that, it drives them to the streaming platforms because they're doing they're displaying down at the bottom of the screen my website, how to find Mark Anthony, all that stuff, just like we're going to do here. And so people naturally get curious. They go, wow, I like that tune. How do I find some more of this guy's music? And then they get on my website, or they go to the Spotify. I have my own Spotify channel, and they look that up and they can listen to my whole catalog. I've got 10 singles out there right now. I'm in the studio working on number 11, which is a real fun rock and roll song called Dance Until Dawn. It's got some Beatles kind of licks in there. It's real fun. We do it out live, have a lot of fun with it. And then I've got one more song to record this year. And then I'm going to put out what's on the horizon is a 6-song EP called Exodus. My first CD, which people don't make CDs anymore, it seems, was called Genesis. So this next one is going to be my more recent material, recording studio stuff, and it's going to be called Exodus, and it will be out before the end of the year.
Oh, that's fantastic. Are you going to have videos to go with the songs?
Well, when you do these EPs, I guess what people are doing now is they either have little flash drives or they have what they call download cards. So I don't know how you could get videos on that when it's just, audio. But of course, if people get on my YouTube channel, I have those 2 videos and a couple of 3 more lyric videos that they can watch. So I have a YouTube channel. They can always go to the, YouTube for the videos. And then I'm on YouTube Music as well. But I'm on all the other streaming platforms. When we do shows, I tell people, whatever one you listen to, I'm on it. I'm on, actually, Iron Gate Records put me on 80 platforms. So when we think about the 6 or 8 that are big here in America, and they are big, but they have in comparison, they have all of those over in Europe and Australia and UK. So they have their own. And so when you're put on 80 platforms, I don't even realize how I'm being promoted over in Australia and UK until I get a call from a promoter. And I always tell this funny story. When I first put out a song called Running Away, now I'm going to do this. You can shame me after I tell you this story. But my first single with Iron Gate Records was called Running Away. And it was being promoted over in the UK, Europe, Australia, all over the place. Well, one of the radio stations wanted to do an interview. And they called the promoter and they said, hey, we want to interview Mark Anthony. So my record label, gave them all the contact information. And I was expecting a call at, I don't know, maybe 8 in the evening. Well, I didn't realize they were 7 hours ahead of me, right? Mm-hmm. So I get a call at 1 in the afternoon and my phone said Spain on it. So I've learned the hard way, you don't answer international calls, right? You just don't do that. So I let it go to voicemail and the guy calls right back. And I said to myself, I better get this call because I wonder if it has something to do with that interview. So I pick up the phone, and I say, hello, and the guy says in broken English, some foreign guy, he says, Mark Anthony, you're live and on W something, whatever it was. He says, you're live and on the air. And I said, oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored that you would call me today. And he goes, bam, he goes right into the first question. He goes, so Mark Anthony, in 1987, you had a song, and he names the other guy, right? He names the other guy. So I said, no, sir. No, I didn't write that song. That's not me. So I thought he'd get it, and he goes right into the next question. He goes, okay, so Mark, and now we're live and on the radio, right? We're live and on the air. So he goes, so Mark Anthony, in 1990 something, he says, and he names this female duet that Mark Anthony did with this female. And it was a big hit in Europe, right? And I said, no, sir, I didn't write that song either, right? So I'm not getting anything out of this interview. So there was this long, awkward pause. And I thought, surely this guy's got it. He knows that this is somebody else. And he goes, oh, so Mark Anthony, so you live in Nashville now. And I thought at that point, this is just going sideways. He's not going to get it. So he thought I should have just played it up. I said, oh yeah, J-Lo's doing good, all that stuff. Yeah. But instead I got out of the interview gracefully and I called my record label and I said, guys, the next time somebody calls for an interview, please let them know, make sure they know which Mark Anthony they're talking to. Because I told the guy, I says, no, you're talking to Mark Anthony, the singer-songwriter in Nashville. And that's when he said, oh, so you live in Nashville now. So that's a real story. I just always throw that in on interviews because I get confused with the other guy all the time.
I bet, because I knew to put Mark Anthony music, and then I was able to get to you. Nashville music.
It's funny, and some of my songs, have a Spanish and a Latin and a samba influence. And so when I'm doing my shows live, of course, I always make jokes with the audience, and I give them the backstories to songs. And I said, hey, maybe that's why I'm called Mark Anthony, because I love the Spanish rhythms and the Latin rhythms. And then I'll do a song called Every Part of You, which, by the way, is on the streaming platforms. And it's very bossa nova-ish, samba-ish, and when people hear it, they go, wow, is this the real Mark Anthony? I said, no, I'm the other guy. So,
I got an interview from Spain too. They're like, oh, you want to do the morning show? I'm like, sure, I'd love to do the Spain morning show.
Yeah.
Phone started ringing at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah, that can happen.
I'm half awake. It's not a great connection, heavy accents. And we got through the interview. I've done it twice now. I'll do any interview. I love talking to people, but the time differences, and when I do New Zealand morning show, we're still the day before, like at 7 o'clock.
Isn't that weird? Well, you do a great job. I know when we met, you're very personable, very engaging, and I really appreciated the fact that you had come a long way to hear a bunch of independent artists at a Just Love coffee house. That says a lot about your character and about the longevity of your show and your legacy as well. So when we met and we talked, I said, wow, here's somebody that really appreciates independent music to come this far, to give credence to all these people. So thank you for doing that.
And I really do enjoy it. And a lot of musicians, old school musicians, compete with each other for the slots. And I refuse to do that. I know there's limited spots. Only so many people can play a night, but there's a lot of talent out there, and I want to see people, succeed and get heard.
Yeah.
And
that was one of the rare appearances I do as an acoustic duo. I made a point that 5 years ago when I formed my band, it was for the express reason of showcasing my material with a full band accompaniment, so that people can hear the whole thing, like I hear it. But it was such a good cause that night, if you remember. And I just decided, I just called my guitar player and I said, hey, let's just do this. It's for a good cause. So I rarely do, when I moved to town, that's all I did was make a steady diet of songwriter nights, because every night of the week, there's at least a half dozen going around Nashville. And I did that for a long time until, like I said, I got on television and the rest was history. But I haven't really done that in a long time. And that was kind of an exception to the rule. And I really enjoyed it because without the drums, without the bass, you can just concentrate on the soul of the song, the real essence of the song. And with the accompaniment with my guitar player, he didn't even bring his electric. We just did 2 acoustics and it was wonderful. I really had a good time doing that. And I'm thinking of doing that a little bit more.
I have to tell you, it was an amazing mix of talent.
Yeah, it was.
That came from all over, that is descended there. For those of you just listening, we met at a coffee house, just Love Coffee, it's called, in Nashville.
Yep.
And it was an autism awareness night. Autism Nashville was a benefit.
Right.
And Hayden Gordon and Autism Nashville put together this event. And we just kind of all descended, came from all over for this one night of music. And, it's interesting when you have that much creative energy floating around a room, how interesting how everyone just comes together and enjoys and appreciates what's going on.
Yeah, Caden, actually, what a godsend he was. He's been promoting my last 4 singles. He did For You and Take Me Down Slow. My latest single that's out, When Will You Come Home Again? He's currently promoting that in the Northeast right now. So he's doing that on all whatever his network is of all those independent radio stations. That's being circulated around right now.
Right. Oh, good for you. That's great. Caden's good people.
Well, he's really good. I have, when I record my next song, I'm going to give him a call just like I did the last 4 and say, hey, let's spin this one too. Yeah, he's great to work with.
Right. Right. So the next song up is, I think, from the Exodus one, When Will You Come Home Again?
Okay. Yeah. Exodus is not out yet. That's just going to be my future title, if you will.
Okay. Okay.
But the song is out.
Working title.
And When Will You Come Home Again? I'll tell you the inspiration behind that song. I don't write editorial songs. I write mostly autobiographical songs, or at least it has an autobiographical component to it. At least it's partly true, right? So this is about a relationship between 2 lovers, right? That were in love at one point, and then they separated, and many years go by, and they still have that nagging thought: does he still think about me? Does she still think about me? And he's saying in his mind, when are you going to come home again? And that's kind of what the whole feeling behind that song is.
All right, let's take a listen to When Will You Come Home Again? And we are back on the ranch. Thanks for watching us tonight. This is produced by Blast Music 24/7, a great resource for all indie artists. And they just have a lot going on. It's a place where you can upload your music. You can share your music from there. They have a lot of podcasts and a lot of resources for artists as well. Also, we're on 7 platforms, but you could also find us on Roku on Hotel Universe. So now, Mark Anthony, you were talking about that samba Casanova, and we're really felt that when you come home. You did
Well, that one, you know, I really kind of, you know, it's not really a samba. You know, when Jimmy Buffett left us last year, and he left a great legacy behind, I had decided that that particular song was going to be my tribute song to Jimmy Buffett. It's very different from For You. It's a lot different from Take Me Down Slow. And so when you listen to it, it's kind of Jimmy Buffett-ish. I don't typically have pedal steel on my songs, but you know, funny story, I was in the studio doing that, and I had envisioned something a little bit different. And in the studio was a lap steel guitar sitting in a case, and it was opened. And I asked the recording engineer, I said, "Oh, do you play that?" And he says, "Oh no, that's Bruce Boughton's lap steel." I said, "The Bruce Boughton? Yeah, this guy's a huge star, right?" He says, "Yeah, I can get him in here and play on your record if you want." And I said, "Oh, please." I said, "I'm such a fan for like 30 years." So Bruce played on all of Ricky Skaggs' albums. He was the guy that did Country Boy, Highway 40 Blues. He's played on Garth Brooks' albums. He is just a megastar when it comes to pedal steel, right? He is the pedal steel guy, God here. So when he said he'd get Bruce in, I said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to have him in." So he just did a great job. You know, he kind of did that answer back thing on the lyrics, you know, in the gaps. Just did a beautiful job. And I'm just honored that he would play on my record.
That is such an honor. It's like change of plans. This is now what's going to happen in the song.
Yeah. I never thought about having pedal steel. I was going to do classical guitars, acoustic guitars, and electric guitars. It was going to be a guitar-centric song. And it still was. We had that cowboy tone in there, cowboy guitar, but lacing the pedal steel in changed the whole flavor of it now. Now it's not so much Americana. It is, but it lent itself more to almost crossover country because of the addition of the pedal steel guitar.
Yeah, it's funny when you hear pedal steel, it kind of brings you into the country realm, you know, because they use
and
it
I
a
love
lot.
steel. Gosh, I love steel. There's so few people that can play it like Bruce. You know,
well, I have to agree. I love pedal steel played well. I did my first album with Marty Rifkin, pedal steel guy, and he's just phenomenal. And he's played with Willie Nelson, and he's been on tour with, you know, Tom Petty when he was around and stuff like that. But pedal steel in the wrong hands. It's like bad banjo. You just like make them stop, make them stop.
Yep, very true.
But there's some genius around that. You really appreciate it when you hear it done well.
Well, Bruce sure is. And we never got to meet, you know, physically, but we were in touch, you know, naturally email wise. And I told him how honored I was. And I told him some of the songs I remember growing up listening to that he was on. He said, "Oh yeah, that was just," you know, he just downplayed it. "Oh yeah, that was no big deal." I said, "It was a big deal when I saw him on the Opry for the first time." Now the Opry band has like top-notch players, and they have a pedal steel player that's incredible. Well, Bruce was on there with Ricky Skaggs one night, and they were doing Highway 40 Blues. And it came to the pedal steel break, which was real fast, real intricate. And the Opry guy was right next to Bruce, and he was trying to keep up with him. And at one point, he threw his hands up and looked at Bruce and looked at the audience like, I can't keep up with this guy. And he just kind of backed off. And I was like, wow. And he played on that record. So there you go.
Cool. That's real cool. It's fun. I mean, you bring your A game, you know, it really helps you elevate, you know, and be inspired when you're around that type of creativity and energy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So that's cool. So Is this song finished in the studio? When will you
Yes,
come home with them?
yes, that is out, has been out now for a while. And Caden is, of course, it's on any of the streaming platforms, but Caden is promoting it separately through his network of independent radio stations. So it's getting around for sure. In fact, I
Right.
just spin report the other day, and it's doing really well.
Do you know that Caden was on the show?
I did not know that.
Do you know that he is actually a songwriter?
I did. Yeah, we've talked for sure. Yep.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
I met him. It's funny. We've been doing this work. I've been working with him probably the past 6 months, and I only met him physically at that coffee house where you work. The first time I got to shake his hand, didn't even know what he looked like.
Right. Right.
As it happens a lot.
Right. Right. Because I had been talking to him as well. And I'm going to have an event in Atlanta, the ISO Awards, where, again, it's going to be a whole room full of people I've been interacting with for a year, but never have met.
What is that event like? Is that a festival? Is it a music festival?
Well, it's International Singer-Songwriter Association. And it's open to all genres.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be one of the best independent organizations out there because they recognize independent artists and they have award shows in Atlanta once a year.
Uh-huh.
And it is really just a fabulous networking event. And, last year's winners play for the finalists of this year. But it's, again, one of these organizations, I love these little hidden gem organizations that, again, support other indie artists and help them support each other.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah. So it's a great organization. Blast Music 24/7 is a great independent site. Hive Music is another great resource for, indie artists. I've come across some gems. Hotel Universe has some great resources for indie artists. So always share.
I really enjoy being an indie artist. When I tell my story about how I started, where I've come from, it's a unique niche to be in.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get, like you said, we understand how the industry goes. We don't get major airplay, right? We have our own set of independent radio stations, promoters like you, which is great, because without people like you, we wouldn't be known at all, right? There's 60,000 pieces of music every day, I think, being introduced on Spotify. So you could get lost in the shuffle real quick. If you're not putting out a single once a month, and who's paying for that in the recording studio? If you're not doing that often enough, you just get lost in the shuffle. So it's people like you that are keeping independent music and artists like me alive and giving us a platform. And I really appreciate that.
Well, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. We have a couple minutes here left. Now, you do a lot of playing. So where can people find you? Where you have shows coming up?
Yeah, I sure do. We just did we did 3 festivals so far this year. We did the Main Street Festival, the Bellevue, the 45th annual Bellevue Community Picnic. And now my next gig is on May 31st. We're in a very, very nice restaurant in downtown Franklin called Gray's on Main. Upstairs, they have a stage upstairs. It's a dual level restaurant. And I'm doing my whole show. I'm doing an hour and a half for the dinner crowd, if you will. I tell people, come stay, make reservations for dinner. It's a reservation only place, and stay for the show. So that's May 31st coming up. And then I've got a number of shows I'm doing in June. I'm doing a music festival in August right here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And the Mark Anthony Ensemble gets to be one of several bands on my record label that will be warm-ups for Diamond Rio. Diamond Rio is going to be the headliner. So I'm going to get to be one of the warm-up for Diamond Rio, which I'm real excited about. Really
bet you are. Yeah.
But they can find me, my website is, because the other guy took the obvious domain, my website is markanthonyartists.com, markanthonyartist.com. You can read my bio. You can read the bios to all of my band members. You can look at photo galleries. There's a shop where you can buy merchandise. They're still setting that up. So I don't have all my Mark Anthony Ensemble stuff with my logo all set up in that shop. But you can look at the EPK. There's a tour tab where you can see all of my dates where I'm playing next. And I just tell people, follow me as an artist, not just on my website, but on Bands in Town, Spotify especially. We're on Facebook, Instagram, all under the name Mark Anthony Ensemble, with the exception of my website, which is markanthonyartist.com. And that's how you find me. There's a contact tab. Hit it, send me an email, ask me anything you want. I love to be an inspiration to younger singer-songwriters. I'm a little older, so I have a longer story to tell than most people that just moved here. And I tell people all the time, whatever God has gifted you with, whether you're a singer or a songwriter, or whatever God's got, an instrument, piano, guitar, whatever it is, don't give up on your dreams, number one. Number two, be persistent and believe in yourself. And number three, use your gifts to bless somebody. I can't tell you, Randie, when I get done with a show, I never know who's out there and somebody's going through something. Everybody's got a story. People will come up to me. I'll sing a song like The Mystery, and they'll come up and say, dude, that song really touched me. I'm going through something right now. I lost my mother. I lost my father. I just went through a divorce, or whatever it is. And if I can bring a smile to someone's face in the course of an evening with the God-given talents that God's given me in a song, in a lyric, never know how something is going to touch somebody. I say the same thing to young budding songwriters. Use your gifts to put a smile on somebody's face or make a difference in someone's life.
Well, those are great words to live by, great words of inspiration. Guys, we've been on the ranch with Mark Anthony, brought to you by Blast Music 24/7. And we're going to be right up. Next Monday is Memorial Day, so we will not be here. We will be here the following, bringing you the best in indie Americana music.
I'm on the road, don't know where it goes.